Raise your hand if you are a parent. If you're a parent, raise your hand. Yeah. All right, raise your hand if you have ever worked with a life coach. A few. Keep your hand up if those two things were connected. All right. So about a little under 3 years ago, my wife became pregnant with our first child. And like any good Jewish educator, I started to think, how might I approach this from a Jewish perspective? What role models might I turn to? What inspiration may I take from Jewish texts and wisdom? And so first I turned to the Torah, of course, and thought, all right, we've got the literal archetypes of Jewish fatherhood, the patriarchs. Let's see what they got. All right, Abraham exiles one son and tries to murder the other. Cool, okay. Isaac has a hard time telling his two kids apart. Jacob lets his first 11 sons sell the 12th into slavery. Not doing great so far, right? So, all right, these are some good lessons on what not to do as a Jewish dad, fair. But what if I want to think, like, what should I do? What are the prescriptions of what I should be doing as a Jewish dad leading up into this? So I turn next to Rabbi Google, and I think maybe there's some good online resources, some like blogs or something, and I find a bunch of really good blogs on Jewish motherhood. And then Jewish fatherhood, I find 2. So being someone who likes to write and likes to process writing, I start up my own blog. I call it Hineni, Jewish Fatherhood for the 21st Century. And leading up into the birth, I'm writing, 1 post a week, sometimes 2 really regularly, and then the kid comes, and suddenly I, for some reason, have like no more time to sit down and write blog posts. I don't know why. So turns out, parenting is hard, takes a lot of time. Not telling you anything that you didn't know. But specifically, parenting in the United States is hard because there is so little structural support for parents, especially new parents. So I'm really lucky to work for an organization, Chazon, that gave me 12 weeks of fully paid parental leave as a father. That is incredibly rare, especially for dads. And so my first recommendation is that for any of you who are in positions of influence over your organization's policies and practice, that first of all, you give as much leave as possible to mothers, because they really need it, and then you make the same amount possible for fathers to take the same amount of paid leave. That's number 1. We need to expand parental leave options for all new parents. And even with 2 parents like doing this thing, it is still really hard, right? Kurt Vonnegut has a great quote where he's talking about the so-called nuclear family with 2 parents and some number of kids running around. And he says the nuclear family is actually not a family at all. It's a terribly vulnerable survival unit, right? We need a village. We need a tribe. As a Jewish nature educator by trade, I turn to nature and to natural ecosystems for inspiration. And when we see thriving ecosystems, we see that they're built on an interdependent, interconnected web of support, right? We need to create the same thing. And so the idea here is for all of these Jewish institutions that represent the backbone of the American Jewish community, how do we leverage that to create support for all of our parents? This is important because we see toxic masculinity running rampant in American society in general, and unfortunately it manifests within Jewish communities just as much. This isn't the only fix to that, but it's one remedy of thinking about how do we start with supporting Jewish dads in positive ways so that we know not only what we shouldn't be doing, which is important, but also what we should be doing. So I introduce to you Hineni, life coaching for the modern Jewish dad. What would it look like if in Jewish communities all around the country we leveraged the institutional backbone to create opportunities for mentorship, for peer-to-peer chavruta, programs for dads and their kids that go alongside all the programs that we already have for mothers that should absolutely continue and grow, right? We have more and more dads, new and old, who are ready to say, Hineni, I'm here, I'm ready to be present, I'm ready to be an equal parent for my child. And my hope is that all of you will meet us there. Thank you.